starring Elliot Page. In this film that we saw at Newfest Pride, Page is a trans man who has returned home for the first time in 4 years since transitioning, and because of the state they were in before they left, there's a bit of an awkwardness, not just because of how depressed and also potentially suicidal that their characters seem, but also dealing with the language that needs to be changed with Elliot's character now being a man. So to summarize the film, it has been about 4 years since Sam has returned home, and since then he has transitioned to becoming a man and living his life as a man, and is far more happier than he ever was when he was back home. So with the invite to come back to his hometown for his father's birthday, there's some hesitation, but because their mom really presses it and they haven't seen their family, they decide to go home, and unfortunately there are a massive amount of complications with that because people have to reconcile not only Sam now presenting and living their life as a man, but also because they saw Sam at their worst and now trying to reconcile Sam at their worst to Sam at their best with the transition, the language that they need to modify when speaking to Sam and around Sam. For some, it's harder than others. So getting to the highlight, it definitely presents the push, especially during Pride, so it's good timing, that it's better to have an alive son than a dead child. And maybe that's a little bit dramatic to say, but based off the way that Sam's father was speaking and mother was speaking, even their two sisters, Sam was really in a place where they just hated being alive. And granted, it's not really developed much to say if it was just because they got sick and tired of living life as a woman, whether there was other stuff going on, were they dealing with transphobia, homophobia, aversion. It's not gone into, so as you can imagine, that's a bit of an issue for us. But at the same time, both Jim and Miriam, Sam's parents, recognize that while it sucks that they couldn't do much to help Sam during that time, and they felt the need to escape them and go off to the city, find their community, transition and everything, and they had to do that away from their family. At the same time, it's better to have Sam as they are now stumble a little bit with pronouns and stuff like that, rather than have it where the next time they saw Sam wouldn't be as a man, but instead in a coffin. Because after a certain point, it seemed that was perhaps Sam's mental only options: either escape these people, escape this town, go to the city, or else create a short-term solution to a long-term problem, or rather a long-term solution to a short-term problem. Which leads to the on-the-fence topic. Now, first off, again, one of the major issues is we don't really get Sam's backstory, so a lot of things regarding how life was 4 years ago, we're just told they were depressed, unhappy, and we can just source that all on them having to live life as a woman and hating it. I would prefer more development regarding the story and character, but it is what it is. If you've seen enough trans stories, you can probably piece it together and assume, even though trans people aren't a monolith, when it comes to this movie, they kind of want to treat their stories and traumas that way. It is what it is. But the on-the-fence portion for us specifically is this relationship that Sam has with a person named Catherine. Now, on the positive end of it, you can see because Catherine is somebody who's deaf, somebody who's known Sam since they were in high school, that in some ways there's a love there that was about who Sam is as a person more than what their gender is. And even now with Catherine having 2 kids and being married, there's still something there because that love never faded. And even with becoming a new person or showing who they truly are inside, you can still see Catherine has an attraction there that she recognizes as very dangerous. But while on paper it sounds like a very cute relationship in some ways, again, Catherine is married, has 2 kids, and then what complicates things even more is that when it comes to Catherine's relationship with her husband, it feels very coded, like there could be abuse or some type of other issue there. But again, this film is not about really developing stuff in the past. It just wants to establish, hey, they had this issue, they had that issue, keep it moving. And unfortunately with Catherine, they don't even do that, because we see her husband maybe in one or two scenes. One when he's picking up from the train station, and then when they're in the house together, and it's weird, it's awkward, but it's not the type of relationship where you're ready to start saying dump his ass and go be with Sam. And even when it comes to being with Sam, there isn't really much in the way of chemistry. I mean, again, you get it. Sam and Catherine had something going on which maybe Catherine wasn't willing to commit to, maybe Sam, because of their uncertainty about their gender and sexuality, didn't fully pursue it. Everything, again, is very murky with Sam's past. But watching them talk, watching them kind of flirt together, it just doesn't do what, at least what I needed. It didn't deliver what would be a compelling romance in any shape or form. If anything, it just pushed you to wish that they cut Catherine altogether to really develop Sam's return, Sam's relationship with their family, and make that the heart of the film, instead of trying to bring Catherine into it in order to give Sam not only their family to kind of reconcile with, but also this woman who they abandoned alongside their family. But overall, when it comes to Close to You, a part of me wants to give it grace because you don't get a lot of movies that are about trans men. Never mind, you don't get a lot of trans men in media at all. But even with the existing scarcity, I wouldn't say Close to You is what is needed. If anything, it's sort of like when mediocre horror movies come out. It's good enough to hold you over until something good comes out, but it's not gonna be the type of thing that really makes you feel fulfilled.